Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for being here. I want you to sit upright, buckle your imaginary seat belts, and sit straight because we are about to embark on a journey. Woo! Yes. We are about to embark on a journey to India. I'm gonna play a short video. I hope you all enjoy it. Do you recognize the person in the video?
No.
I just wanted to share this video with all of you. But more importantly, I want to talk about two things that led to this video actually. Two books that really inspired me and got me traveling. Thank you. So two books that really inspired me into traveling. And my learnings from being on the road. From being on the road. So to talk about, and that's me, yes, on the bike and there on the cycle, so I really enjoy being on the road. So the two books, the first one that I want to talk about, can anyone recognize who this is on the bike? Yes, College? Yeah, thank you so much. So this is one of the books that really inspired me, now a motion movie of course. This was back when I was in my final year of college. I was working as a part-time sales boy in a bookstore, which is when I chanced upon reading this book. Really inspired me. The book talks about Che Guevara, who's right out of his medical school, goes into, takes his motorbike along with his friend, goes across Latin America, and how that really changes him and turns him into this iconic revolutionary. Right, like I said, it was really inspiring for me, and I decided me and this friend of mine, we're going to mark the end of college by hitting the roads. We did not have much money. We were students back then, like we are now. So we tried, so very poor. We tried pulling a lot of funds. Could not manage to find motorbikes, but we managed to sponsor bicycles. Right, so this friend of mine and I, we hit the roads. From college, the last day of my college, and 1 month gap before I had to join work as a fresh graduate. So we kept traveling from city to city, sojourning at places, sleeping in the nights in tents in various places that we could find. This really, the aim of this journey was really to understand what the real intricate, subtle human realities, what do people feel, and we encountered numerous such examples. We saw farmers gaze as they kept staring at the blank sky in the hope of seeing clouds and rains. I remember this one time when a humble villager offered us a ride on his bullock cart, and when we offered him 50 cents, he was really anxious of how we were going to survive the trip if we paid him 50 cents. And so these emotions, these encounters were really heart-touching. They really shaped the foundations of my life in certain ways. And what really stood out for me was that these emotions, they were really real. And like all good things, this trip after a month came to an end. I had to join the workforce, and so I did. But what this trip really did for me was to evoke this sense of wanderlust, which I am left with and continue to have since then. Moving on to the second book, really, fast forward three and a half years, when I chanced upon reading this book. It's called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. It's a cult philosophy book. It talks about various interesting things. It's about the author, Robert Pirsig, who, along with his son, goes across the United States. They're traveling, and the father and son duo engage in conversations. And the book seamlessly travels and talks about various philosophical abstracts, including the concept of quality and what happens when we measure it. The moment, and the book argues that the moment you measure quality, you've lost quality because now you're subjected it to your interpretations. Certain other aspects, certain other sort of such beautiful philosophical constructs that the book talks about. But what really caught my attention was this little paragraph that comes up towards the beginning of the book, where the author talks about the difference between traveling in a car vis-a-vis traveling on a bike. And to quote him, in a car, you're always in a compartment, and because you're so used to it, you do not realize that through the car window, everything that you see is just more TV. You're a passive observer, and it is all moving by you boringly in a frame. On a cycle, the frame is gone. You're completely in contact with it all. You're in the scene, not just watching it anymore. And in the presence, it is overwhelming. And this sort of idea really messed with my mind, and I said, God, I need to do something. So this is 3 years into, I was working, had saved up enough to own a motorbike. Part of the video was shot on the entire video was shot on the motorbike that you saw. NUS happened, I got into the program, and so what I decided was that 2 months before I would move to Singapore, I would quit my job and I would travel. So the last 2 months before I got here, I was really traveling, and the video was a part of it. And this trip was really the most impromptu thing that I have ever done in my life. I had completely surrendered myself to the universe, or whatever you want to call it, right? And their strategy professors sitting here just finding me and saying, how can you go without a grand plan in place? But there was a certain thing that happened to me with this trip, really. I had completely plunged myself into the unknown. I had completely surrendered myself, like I said. This trip really took me in directions that I had never sort of really planned for, right? And so I was traveling through the Himalayas in the most treacherous of roads, but they were the most majestic of views. I was covered on rainy days while I was traveling through mud-baked roads on mud and slush, but at the same time there was this adrenaline rush that kept me going. And so that was the beauty of things, and I think Charles Dickens would have said this was the best of times and there was the worst of times, right? And so that was the essence of this beautiful thing that happened to me over the last 2 years. Now, the question that really is, why am I sharing all of this with you tonight, right? So a few weeks ago, while the MS camp was going on, we were asked this question: what does it really mean to be human in this era of disruptive technology? And so to answer, I think, oops, okay. So to answer, I think, to answer that question, I asked myself, what does it really mean to be human? And I found the answer in these sort of few points that I wanted to share with you and leave you with these questions. Does it mean that I want to connect and engage with people through their emotions? To it's okay for me to be lost, to say that I'm uncertain, I do not have a plan, I do not know everything, and it's okay to evolve through this. It's always to have this constant dialogue. Through this trip, I was having conversations with myself. So as much as it was about seeing the beautiful world that was there, but it was so much more about being instinctive and not impulsive, really. Being instinctive and having that really deep dialogue with oneself to say that, yes, okay, let's do this and let's traverse through this and let's see what comes out of it. It's about dancing in and out of our comfort zones and to be challenging ourselves to be a better person each day. It's about being grateful of having friends and family in this journey of life, because life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not scored. Thank you.